All right, so let's get right into it. We're talking about Lennar, one of the absolute giants in home building in the US. And what's wild is that a tiny, almost unnoticeable change in how they talk about their strategy is sending these huge shockwaves through the entire industry. It's a massive gamble, and it all boils down to one question.
So, the big mystery we're trying to solve here is about their CEO, Stuart Miller. Is he a genius who's seeing the market perfectly? Is he making a colossal misstep? Or, and this is the really interesting part, is he just bluffing? The answer here, honestly, could change everything for pretty much everyone in housing. Builders, the people who supply them, and yeah, even you, the home buyer.
Okay, so this is where it gets super interesting. It all comes down to a change in metaphor, a change in one single phrase. See, for years, the CEO talked about their strategy as a shock absorber, something to cushion the bumps of a crazy market. But now, he's calling it a circuit breaker. And trust me, that one little word change, it reveals a huge shift in how they're planning to operate.
So let's break that down. What's the real difference between a shock absorber and a circuit breaker when we're talking about building and selling homes?
Think about the shock absorber strategy first. It's pretty intuitive, right? It was all about momentum. When mortgage rates shot up, Lennar would step in with incentives, maybe some price cuts. Basically, they'd absorb the financial shock for the buyer just to keep the deals flowing. The goal was simple: power through the rough patches.
But a circuit breaker? That's a whole different ballgame. A circuit breaker doesn't absorb a shock. It stops everything. It intentionally cuts the power to stop the whole system from frying. And in Lennar's world, they're choosing to cut the power to one thing: their own profits, all to protect what they see as their most crucial asset, their incredibly efficient, high-speed home-building machine.
And this quote from the CEO, Stuart Miller, just lays it all out there. He says, "We are not nostalgically waiting for the market to reset. We're adjusting ourselves to the way things are." I mean, wow. He's basically saying, we're done waiting for good times to come back. We are going to sacrifice our profits right now to make sure our factories, our production lines, never stop running. So, okay, that's the strategy. But is it actually working? Let's dive into the numbers from their latest earnings call and see what's really happening on the ground. All right, let's start with the good news, because there's definitely some good news. When it comes to just building stuff, Lennar is an absolute beast. A well-oiled machine. They are firing on all cylinders.
Check this out. They've gotten their average time to build a house down to just 122 days. That is a company record. I mean, that's insanely fast. A massive, massive win for them on the operations side.
And it's not just about speed. They're doing it cheaper, too. Their direct construction costs have dropped 12% in 2 years. So you put that together, faster and cheaper, and, well, that's a killer combo that gives them a huge leg up on the competition. But, and this is a big but, there's always a catch, right? All that amazing efficiency on the factory floor is coming at a really steep price. And you see that pain loud and clear when you look at their financial numbers. Yeah, take a look at these figures. Their gross margin is sitting at about 15%. But then look at the incentives they're giving away to buyers. That's eating up almost all of that margin. So by the time you account for everything else, their final net profit is a wafer-thin 5.3%. That circuit breaker we talked about? Oh yeah, it is definitely flipped on. So this right here really tells the whole story, doesn't it? On one side, you've got these incredible wins in their operations. They're building faster, they're building cheaper. But on the other side, you see the cost. Lower home prices, tons of money spent on incentives, and margins that are just getting crushed. This is the core trade-off they are making, plain and simple. Okay, so you might be thinking, why should I care about one company's margins? Well, here's why it matters to everyone. When a player as massive as Lennar decides to change the game, it doesn't just affect them. It sends ripples, no, more like tidal waves, through the entire industry. It's like a domino effect, right? Step 1, Lennar keeps its production high by cutting prices. Step 2, to afford that, they turn around and put the squeeze on their suppliers and contractors for cheaper materials and labor. And then step 3, the smaller local builders, they just can't compete. They don't have the scale to absorb those kinds of hits, and they get caught in the crossfire. Which brings us all the way back to that big question we started with. We've seen the strategy, we've seen the numbers, so what's the verdict? Is Miller right? Is he wrong? Or is he bluffing? Let's walk through the 3 main possibilities. Possibility number 1. Miller is just right. He's nailed it. Maybe the housing market really is that weak, that limited by what people can actually afford.
And if that's the case, then focusing on building as many homes as cheaply as possible is the only smart play. And for everyone else, that means buckle up, because it's going to be a long, bumpy ride of tight profits and brutal price competition.
Okay, but what about possibility number 2? What if he's dead wrong? What if demand for new homes is actually way stronger than Lennar thinks? If that's true, it means they're being way too pessimistic. They're leaving a ton of money on the table, and they're basically handing a golden opportunity to their competitors to push their prices up and rake in much better profits.
And then there's the third option. And this one is kind of like a 4D chess move. What if Miller is bluffing? What if this whole thing isn't about responding to the market at all, but about forcing the market to respond to them? By running their production machine 24/7, they become the biggest customer for every single supplier out there. That gives them insane negotiating power to drive down their own costs and cement their position at the top of the food chain for a long, long time.
So that's what it all comes down to, really. Is Lennar just a ship navigating the stormy seas of the housing market? Or have they become so massive, so powerful, that they've become the storm itself? Are they just reading the market, or are they now writing the rules for everyone else? The answer to that question is going to tell us a whole lot about where we're all headed.